Orthodontics can actually cause problems.
It all started in 2016 when I got Invisalign. I had a crossbite and anterior open bite. Unfortunately, that treatment, which lasted about 4 years, created a whole slew of new problems.
2/3 of faces were slightly damaged by orthodontic treatment, and that about a further 20% were severely damaged.
Orthodontics.
Orthodontic.
I noticed my teeth were starting to get loose.
I feel like all I have to look forward to now is treatment and pain and fear and debt.
What if I told you that one of the most trusted medical practices in America is systematically destroying millions of people's brains? What if the same thing your parents thought was making you more successful was actually collapsing your skull? This is the story they don't want you to know. Let's rewind to 1910. A French dentist named Edward Angle had a wild idea. He thought that if teeth were perfectly straight, people would be healthier and more attractive. Straight teeth.
In 6 months, you'll have perfect teeth.
That was the obsession. Sounds innocent enough, right? But here's what Angle didn't understand. Your teeth aren't just decorative. They're structural supports, they're load-bearing columns in a biological building called your skull. Moving teeth around is like taking load-bearing walls in a house and shifting them to wherever you want. You're not making the house better, you're destabilizing its foundation. But the idea took off. And for over a century, orthodontists have been methodically straightening teeth while somehow remaining completely blind to the wreckage left behind. This is how industries work. One guy has an idea, it becomes standard practice, and then nobody questions it because everyone's doing it. Now let's talk about the present day. Orthodontics didn't just stay local, it went global. It became an epidemic. The clear aligners market alone was worth $1.9 billion in 2022, and it's growing at 30.5% annually. That means 3 times more victims, 3 times more people walking around with destabilized skulls, 3 times more kids whose parents thought they were doing something good. And here's the kicker, about 50 to 60% of American teenagers have had some form of orthodontic treatment. In some wealthy neighborhoods, it's higher. So we've essentially made it a rite of passage for middle and upper class kids to get their skulls deformed. We celebrate it, we take photos, we post them on Instagram, straight teeth for the photo, collapsing skulls in real life. Okay, let's get into the biomechanics. This is where it gets dark. In our experience, the human skull works like a balloon. It inflates and deflates. When it's properly inflated, everything works. Your brain has space, your spine is aligned, your organs can function. But when you move teeth around with braces or Invisalign, something happens. The soft tissue surrounding your skull loses its reference point. It deflates, like letting air out of a balloon. When that happens, the soft tissue comes in like a deflating wetsuit and crushes everything. It crushes your brain, it collapses your face, it twists your spine. And here's what orthodontists specifically do. They flatten something called the curve of Spee. The curve of Spee is the natural arch of your teeth when you look at them from the side. It exists for a reason. It's biomechanically important. But braces and aligners flatten it, often on purpose, or sometimes accidentally, depending on whether they make you wear a retainer for life. And once that curve is gone, the domino effect starts. The jaw repositions for the worse, the neck often collapses, the spine often twists, the brain often gets crushed, resulting in things like cognitive decline, neurological disease, anxiety, depression, ADHD. You name it, brain damage, spinal problems, organ compression, premature aging, and the worst part, most of this happens over time. So when the problems show up years later, nobody connects the dots back to the braces they got at age 14. Here's what's crazy. We have the evidence. It's been staring at us in the face. Just look up toothlessness on Wikipedia, the world's most trusted source. And right there in plain sight, it shows you what happens to a human skull and spine when you remove all the teeth. The entire face collapses, the jaw shrinks, the spine bends, the whole structure fails. Orthodontics is just a slower, gentler version of the same thing. You're not removing teeth, you're moving them, but the result is the same, structural collapse. When teeth move, they wear down faster. They get ground down, dental height is lost, and when you lose dental height, the balloon deflates.
I got braces at 16. By 22, I had constant headaches I never had before. Braces and extractions damaged my face.
These aren't isolated cases. There are hundreds of stories like this in online communities, in forums, in subreddits, people connecting the dots that orthodontists refuse to connect. So here's the million-dollar question. How has the orthodontic industry not figured this out? There are a few possibilities. Theory 1, they're just dumb. Maybe orthodontists are genuinely just not smart enough to see the pattern. A decade ago, I might have believed that, but not anymore. These people go to school for years. They study the human body, and yet somehow they're blind to the fact that 50 to 60% of American teenagers have structural skull damage from the treatments they provide. If that's true, then what does that say about their intelligence? These are supposedly intelligent medical professionals. Theory 2, cognitive dissonance. Maybe they see the evidence but can't admit it. Think about it. If your entire 30-year career is built on straightening teeth and you suddenly realize you've been collapsing skulls the whole time, that's not something you're rushing to confess. Theory 3, financial incentives. Or maybe, just maybe, there's too much money involved to care. Invisalign is owned by Align Technology, a billion-dollar company. Braces manufacturers are massive corporations. Damon Braces, Light Force. These are industries worth billions. When your industry is built on a practice that damages people, you don't conduct research to prove your own products are evil. You just don't. It's the tobacco playbook. Same thing cigarette companies did for 60 years. They knew they had internal research, but they buried it because the liability was too enormous to face. And I actually think that some of these companies have buried data showing the damage their products cause. I think they know, and they're counting on the fact that by the time people figure it out, they'll be insulated by legal waivers and standard of care defenses. But here's where this story gets interesting. Because while orthodontists have been flattening the curve of Spee for a century, there's a solution they've completely missed. A mouth guard, not a fancy device, not 30 grand in orthodontic treatment, a simple mouth guard. See, the principle of biomechanical correction is actually quite simple. You need to restore the natural structure, you need to reinflate the balloon, you need to restore dental height and the proper bite position. A simple flat mouth guard does exactly this. It creates a space between your teeth, it forces the soft tissue to stretch, it doesn't lock your teeth in an artificial position. It allows your jaw to find its natural, healthy place. And when your jaw sits in the right position, our experience is that everything else starts to follow. The skull inflates, the spine aligns, the brain has room to function, neurological symptoms improve. Here's what's wild. Mouth guards already exist everywhere. Boxing mouth guards, sports mouth guards, you can buy them at any pharmacy. They're on Amazon, they're on AliExpress, and the biomechanical principle is identical. Some just work a bit better than others or last a bit longer. You want to know why the orthodontic industry has a problem with mouth guards? Because mouth guards are a threat to their entire business model. Invisalign wants $3,000 to $8,000 of your money. Braces want $5,000 to $7,000. And if you don't wear a retainer for life, they want you to pay again. That's recurring revenue. That's a lifetime of profits. A mouth guard costs a fraction of that. And once you've got it, you don't need anything else. There's no monthly adjustment, no retainer renewals, no lifetime payments. If orthodontists admitted that mouth guards could straighten teeth naturally and restore health, their entire industry collapses. And not just individual practices. We're talking about billion-dollar companies, thousands of jobs, entire dental school programs based on teaching a practice that causes damage. So they don't acknowledge it, they attack it, they write articles about how mouth guards are dangerous. They try to discourage people from trying them. I've seen orthodontists come into comment sections screaming, "Do not do this," while our community has hundreds of posts from people who've benefited from exactly this approach. But here's what I believe is coming. Within the next decade or two, this is going to blow up. People are going to connect the dots. They're going to realize that the braces they got 20 years ago cause their current health problems. They'll notice that their friends who never got braces are aging better. They'll see that their kids are developing health issues, correlating with orthodontic treatment. And it's going to spread on social media like wildfire. Millions of people realizing they were victims of a practice that was supposed to help them. Orthodontics, the lobotomies of our time. We predict there will be lawsuits, thousands of them, class action suits against every major orthodontic company and practice. the liability is going to be astronomical. We're talking about potential damages in the billions of dollars. And unlike the dentists with their licenses that can be taken away, I'm not a dentist. I can't be silenced the way the Mews were. We sell mouth guards that are functional, not unlike the hundreds of flat mouth guards that are sold on Amazon, AliExpress, and other platforms. To prevent us from selling a simple flat mouth guard is to say that all flat mouth guards are wrong because they all do the same thing. You see, I'm a guerrilla fighter in this information war, and I won't make an easy target. The truth is coming out. The only question is how much longer the industry can suppress it. If you're watching this, you have choices. If your child needs orthodontics, look at alternatives. Understand that biomechanical correction works differently than the industry wants you to believe.
If you've had braces or aligners,
The good news is this: it's reversible. Your body is a balloon, and balloons can be re-inflated. Understand the physics. Get support from people who actually understand how this works. And most importantly, spread this information, because the industry's power depends on people not knowing the truth.